continues. To do that, we've got to support them in every way that we possibly can, whether it be with more space so that they can provide more classroom space, encouraging programming. All of this is going to help keep our youth in our area as opposed to going away, and that is ultimately what's going to help us survive.
Thank you. Jeffrey, last word on this question.
So Selkirk is definitely a gem in this community. It's great to have them here, and they offer a great service, so we'd definitely love to see them stay here. So they really know what they need, and they know what help they need. So I think what the council would need to do is we need to talk to them, figure out what exactly we can do to help, and then try to make sure that we can do whatever we can to help them. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question from the floor. Introduce yourself, and if you want to direct the question to somebody, please do.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Quick question to all of you, if anybody knows something about what will happen to the tennis courts, considering that, for what I know, the tennis club is leasing it, the next year the lease is over, and the condition of the courts are getting worse and worse. And it's not necessarily about the tennis court, but the fact, are you trying to keep the facility going? Are you thinking about having something similar in other places of the village? What's going on with those tennis courts? That's it. Just because the conditions are really bad. And yeah, thanks.
And your name is Stefano. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Stefano.
Thank you. Who would like to speak to the question of the tennis facilities here in Kaslo? Please.
So the tennis courts, I've been going through a lot of issues in town. I haven't actually gone to that one. I've never played tennis there. So I'm going to guess those are owned by the village. And if they're not owned by the village, then it'd be up to whoever owns them to kind of fix them up. But if they are owned by the village, they're already there. We might as well keep them running in as good a condition as possible so that people can continue to use them.
Very good. Henry.
It's interesting. We had a letter the other day in regards to that, and apparently there's also something new coming up. What the heck is that called? Pickleball. They were also interested in the tennis court because they noticed that it wasn't used that well. So there is a club that does look after the tennis court. So the kind of talking, so there's something in the works, and there's money for that court because that whole complex there gets a annual operating grant there for the curling rink and the ice rink and the tennis court. That's one thing that does get money for it. So, the tennis court doesn't. Sorry, my bad. I'm not perfect. But we are in dialogue with the people that are looking after it as an organization, so there will be something coming forward.
Thank you, Henry. Molly?
There is actually a representative on the arena board who is also a representative of the tennis court. So we've had discussions about the tennis courts and trying to make that a multi-recreational area. And, you know, at different times we have talked about the problems that the concerns are having there. So we will continue to try and work together as a board with the tennis courts to look for grants and stuff to try and keep it going.
Anybody else on the tennis courts? Last word to Kelly.
Yeah, I'm involved in most recreation-based activities that council dabbles in or funds and grants. Issue with the tennis, I'll start over with that. Like most of our facilities and a lot of our infrastructure in town is run by volunteers, non-for-profits. The problem with the tennis court is that they aren't actually a non-for-profit, so they don't have much chance of getting any sort of funding whatsoever. It's a big, expensive job to resurface a tennis court. That's been done. One, it's cracked again. It needs a lot of work. What's just come up in one of our Kaslo Direct and Trails board meetings is potential of bringing them on board under that umbrella so they can at least become a non-for-profit society that enables them to get grants. The problem with tennis court, there's actually not that many members either, so we need to see capacity. I look at who's doing what assets are out there and how many people are using them, and unfortunately for tennis it needs to pick up a little bit, I think, and we could see some change with that.
Thank you, Kelly. Are you walking towards the mic? We actually have a lineup. This is excellent.
Oh, you go ahead, not stand right here and then.
Introduce yourself, please, and if you want to direct your question to somebody.
Okay, I'm Marlena Glenn. To any of you who'd like to answer, I remember the good old days when I could lay on my couch and find out what was going on down at a council meeting. I loved that. I could keep informed. I'm not very good at getting out after dinner. I wondered, do any of you have any ideas of how you could be more available to us, especially now? I mean, we have internet and we have lots of things. It looks like a few of you want to answer.
Great. Why don't we start here with Andy, and we'll work our way along and see a few hands here for the question from Martin.
So it used to be when we had Kaslo cable, the council meetings were live on TV. In this election, I talked to Mel, and she believes we can live stream our council meetings again. And I would support that if you elect me to the mayor. I also think it's important that your mayor have regular office hours so that anyone can come and meet them at any time. And that's the way we begin to build that, the communication. I used to write a newsletter monthly as regional district director. That's another thing that we need to do. Regular reporting out, but I think live streaming all our meetings and committee meetings would be a step so that you didn't have to come down to the council chamber to see what we were doing. You could just sit there at home on the couch and watch what we were doing instead.
Well, you probably already know is that now that we moved into the new old city hall, that we have reset up the camera, so everything is on the website. It usually comes in the next day. There were some issues in the old building just with sound quality. We've gone through this in the past about bringing more media coverage into the council chambers, and we can do that. We can do anything. We can have the live stream. It means it's going to cost a little more money. It means it's going to be a little more tax money on that. So, in my opinion, we do have every meeting being recorded and put on the website through YouTube, and I find that quite sufficient.
As I mentioned earlier, what I'd like to do is have open forums, roundtables, and also where you can come and speak one-to-one with me. I'm going to be your counselor if you elect me, and that means working for you, which to work for you, I have to know what you want. And the way to know what you want is to meet you face to face. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else? Susan.
Kelly already addressed the fact that we do have the videos now going. The second one just went out this last week. And we did hesitate to do it in the Kemble because it was a large space and we didn't know whether the infrastructure, if we put it in the Kemble, would work in the city hall. And it turns out all we had to do was buy a longer cord for our microphone. So instead of spending thousands of dollars on a brand new system, we just waited. And sure, we weren't very popular for waiting, but we saved the taxpayer a lot of money, which is a big concern for people. But my thing is do people want consultation or information? Consultation isn't watching the meeting on television after we've made decisions. Consultation happens in advance. And I'd really like to hear how the community would like. Do they really want consultation? When you see ads in the newspaper advertising leases and advertising various things, that's your trigger as a community member to write your letter to council and say, I agree with that or I disagree with that. That doesn't mean it's a done deal. That means we're seeking your opinion. And maybe we haven't articulated that well enough that that's the process. To me, putting the minutes out and putting the videos out is informing you what happened. So you've got to ask yourselves, do you want consultation? Do you want information?
Yeah, the Kaslo cable, I definitely assisted doing a lot of filming in the community forest and some of the council meetings there. And I believe it was very good for the town. The council was considering implementing an education tax in our liquid waste management plan. I really don't understand what they mean by an education tax in the liquid waste management plan. But if you really, I was almost thinking if I got elected, I would just get rid of that tax. But to be truthful, it would make sense to use this for communication, because I can communicate with Denver, Silverton, or the Kaslo. I can find anything I want. When I come to Kaslo, I get what was far as 2005. I can't get anything more current than that on the internet. And I would be keen on seeing some live streaming of the council meetings, just like you see in the other cities. And this education tax should really go towards something educational.
Just something minor maybe, but the meetings are open to public. At 6 o'clock we have the cow meeting, and at 7 o'clock a regular meeting. At the end of the meetings we have 15 minutes for the public if they had any questions. Now, I think I don't know how many meetings I've been gone to, there might have been maybe 3 or 4 that there were some people there. So if you really like to be involved,